Hello and welcome to CTA Quick Bytes episode 24. My name is Vinay Sharma and we have a very versatile professional joining us today and joining us today all the way from Bangkok. He has served as an airline professional for 15 long years and then has been working with one of the big names of hotels, the Lebua hotels in Bangkok for the last 2.5 years with more than 17 years of experience. Absolute pleasure to have on our show Mr. Richard Alford.
Very good afternoon, Mr. Sharma. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours, Richard. Thank you so much. And firstly, thank you so much for taking time out to join us all the way from. And I'm so eager to know so much from you because you've done both airlines and hotels. So that makes this conversation that more interesting, at least for me.
Thank you. The pleasure is actually all mine because I'm always happy to help. And especially if it has to do with hospitality, I'm always ready.
Thank you so much. Richard, how did it all begin for you? You completed hotel management and then you were completing your course, but also working in a hotel there, and then jet lagged. Could you take us through, your career so far for the last 17 years?
Actually, my journey began, like you've already mentioned that I did hotel management. I did the first 2 years from an institute in Calcutta itself, and the third year I had an option to go abroad and finish my semester there. So I did it from Scotland, Edinburgh. And then while I was completing my semester, actually, it's all down to supportive parents of mine. And my mom has actually been my backbone throughout the entire journey. So while I was there in Scotland, she was the one who actually went through the newspapers and found out the interview for Air Sahara at that time. So I had actually no option. She did everything for me. She pulled out my biodata, updated my biodata, my CV, that matter, and told me book my ticket. So I had no option but to come down and go for the interview. I mean, out of 3,000 odd people, the interview was lengthy, a really long interview, 6 rounds. Finally did get through, managed to get through, I would say. I mean, fortunate enough to get through. And I joined in 2004. So 2 years I worked as a line crew in Air Sahara. Then got an opportunity to apply for the cabin supervisor in the year end 2006, I must say. And then after a month or so, I qualified to become a cabin supervisor. Then in the year 2010, I got the opportunity to again apply for post of check cabin crew, which I did. And then again, was fortunate enough to get through again. And then in 2006 to early 2007 is when Jet Airways bought Air Sahara, and we became a subsidiary of Jet Airways, which was called Jet Light, which was low frill or a low cost carrier in that sense. So the entire set of Air Sahara, entire crew Air Sahara became Jet Light, and anyone recruited under the name Jet Light remained Jet Light at that time. And in the year 2014, again towards middle of 2014, the senior lot of us were given an opportunity to apply for Jet Airways if we wanted to apply, but could not stay in Calcutta base. So if we had to apply and get into Jet Airways, then we would have to move base either to Bombay or Delhi. And I wasn't afraid, so I took the opportunity that was given to me, applied, again was fortunate enough to get through mainstream Jet Airways, moved to Delhi, flew from Delhi for approximately till Jet Airways finally shut shop. And so I was there till 2019. Then in May 2019, Lebua came out, asking asking Jet Airways crew that if they wanted to join, their doors were always open, we could apply and give it the interview and maybe see. So I did apply. A lot of my colleagues did apply for other airlines in India. They wanted to stay back. But I said, okay, let me try something new. And after all, it was Bangkok, and it's a luxury hotel, one of the big brands. So I said, let's give it a try. It's always a win-win. If I don't get through, I'll apply for the airline. So I did apply. And again, fortunate enough that I got through, and I took the opportunity and came here, and I've been here ever since. And it's been a good journey. So the entire 17 and a half years that I've actually been working, there have been a lot of ups and downs, but more ups, should I say. And it's been wonderful. It's actually been a wonderful journey. That's my entire professional life in front of you, should I say. I've been fortunate.
I'm sure it's hard work as well. You are fortunate when when you have an opportunity, but you're also prepared for it. That's how I look at it. So I think you were prepared for the opportunities which were coming your way. So I'm sure there was hard work involved. Now, my next question for you would be, Richard, after 15 years of flying, like you said, most of them, your colleagues opted for other airlines, but you opted for a hotel. How difficult or easy was it for the transition to happen from airlines to hotels? Of course, you're serving people in both the industries, but I'm sure the way you work in both industries could be quite different in some matters. So how difficult or easy was the transition?
And now, if I say the transition was a piece of cake, then I'll be honestly lying to you, because it's a big difference, a big step down, because the airline and eventually they both deal with hospitality. They belong to the same segment, but there is a vast difference between both of them, right? So in the airline, basically, if I say the aircraft, it's a confined space that you get to work in, pressurized cabin that you're working in. Whereas a hotel is completely different. It's like basically you get your shifts. You work 9 to 5, you work 9 to 6, or 8 to 5, basically. So the initial few months were difficult for me, because I, as a person, am not that type of person who sits behind a desk or works on a computer to finish this stuff. I've never been that person. Me, I've always dealt with customers face to face. I love solving issues, love solving problems. That's what I'm best. I do best, actually. So it was difficult transiting to something different, especially being in a hotel. Even though I've done hotel management, I did 6 months of industrial training, so I knew what hotel was about. And honestly speaking, at that time, I really didn't like hotels. So, because industrial training it's not what you actually, as a hotelier or as a student, they don't show you. They show you all the negativity. That's what you get from stuff like that. So I actually didn't want to get into hotels. So I was fortunate that I got into the airline, and when I got this opportunity with Lebua, I said, okay, now it's time to move on, because I'm not getting any younger, right? So you need to be stable. And an airline job, when you work in an airline, though it's luxurious, though it's nice, it's amazing, but every crew has a short lifespan. It's a very short lifespan, actually speaking. So, and it was difficult. Like I said, it was actually very, very difficult for me. But my sheer will to survive and will to move and to try and do things, I did. So I've been here. I worked my way through it, to the difficult stages, and I'm happy that I stuck on. And at the end of the day, we still deal with customer service. So it's on the same boundaries. That didn't change for me. So that was okay.
Right. So do you miss flying? Any aspect of flying that you miss the most?
Oh yes, I do. I love. See, there's nothing. If you ask me this question, you ask another cabin, and you ask anybody else who's been a cabin crew for maybe a year or two, and then moved on to another job. You ask them the same thing. There is nothing like flying. Flying is a totally different experience altogether. I miss there's not a certain aspect that I miss in flying. It was something that I actually miss. I miss everything. I miss the part where I put on my uniform, wait for my transport car to pick me up, go to the airport, see the passengers, walk down the aero bridge, get onto the aircraft, get ready for a flight, wish them. But if you say the thing that I miss the most is I miss my colleagues. I miss my friends, I miss my buddies. They're the people I actually miss because they were the ones who see for me to look good, they were the people who actually made me look good on flight. I actually miss them. That's the only thing that I miss is I miss my friends. I miss them a lot. And the if you still say that if I miss flying and what if I'm a cabin crew. I've always been a cabin crew. That will never change. Even if I'm working in a hotel now, I will always remain a cabin crew. Once a cabin crew, always a cabin crew. Even at my desk in the hotel, when I go to work, this is what I place on my desk. These are the two things which are on my desk till now, and will always be with me is my name badge and my rings. So that's why this is
wonderful.
That will never leave me. It'll be here for life.
Great. I think that is wonderful, Richard. That is so nice to see. You keeping those two with you. Richard, you mentioned about being a Czech. You mentioned about being a Czech crew, right? And in this program, just a lot about a role of the cabin crew. But for the benefit of our listeners and young listeners who are aspiring, to join this industry later, maybe. We have many of our students also listening to this. Could you just elaborate a little bit on what a Czech crew does? What is a Czech crew?
See, basically when you go for training and you finish your training, and an individual comes back, or basically a cabin crew comes back and wants to start their flying career, they have to go through a series of checks. Now, whatever you learn in theory in your training has to be put into practical knowledge now. So this is where Czech crew comes into play, because see, not everyone applies to become a cabin supervisor. Every crew can become a cabin supervisor, but not every cabin supervisor becomes a Czech crew, because you need to pass examinations. You need to pass the DGC examination, which is the government laid down examination. You have an internal examination after that. Then you have to go through leadership qualities as well. So when a newcomer comes on board the aircraft, right, it's very easy for me to take someone's check because I know everything, right? I've been there. I've learned everything, right? So it's for me actually to guide someone through in that process, and to tell the person when I'm taking a person's check, right? I've been in that person's position sometime in my life when I was giving a check. So I know what that person at that very moment sitting in front of me is going through. So it's for me to calm the person down, break the ice, and tell them that it's just something that you already know that I'm asking you about. And it's my duty to obviously take you through this phase and bring you and to see that you're sound and you're qualified. I mean, people do make mistakes, and it's mistakes that are made basically because of what you have done. It's not what I have created something in front of you. If you're nervous, so there's nothing to be nervous about, and there's nothing to be worried about. It's just another phase that you have to go through. And we as Czech crew have to see that and have to take you through that phase, basically. But honestly speaking, it's not difficult. It's not difficult at all. As long as you're confident, I'm sure you'll get through. So a few people are given that designation as Czech crew, but then again, it's not something that you take to your head that I'm God, or it's me that has your career in your hand. No, it's not like that. We are there for a specific job to do, and you have to do it diligently. That's what I do. But that's what we're supposed to do, basically. I don't know now, but that's what I'm supposed to do. But it's okay. So that's what basically Czech cabin crew does. What we're supposed to do.
Okay.
And not only newcomers, we check checks on. it's you take checks on crew that are working.
Everybody.
So every year you have to give a check. Every year you got to give a check. Even I have to give a check. So I gave a check to another check crew as well. So it's everybody that has to go through the process.
Right. All right. Thank you, Richard, for explaining all our views about the role there. And I'm shifting my focus to your present role now. Okay, and we'll discuss your present role and hotels a little bit. And it would be wonderful to hear from you because you've come from a flying background. Because normally when we have spoken before, we've only spoken to core hoteliers, who have been hoteliers. So, what's your job description currently as a customer relation officer? What exactly are you doing at Lebua right now?
Okay, Lebua basically has 357 suite rooms. So every room of ours is actually a suite. And
Okay.
so basically we have 4 restaurants and 6 bars within the same hotel. So my job description is I'm responsible for a department called the Dome Reservation, where basically any customer, whether internal customers staying within the hotel or outside in Bangkok, or people staying in other hotels in Bangkok wanting to make a reservation in the restaurant or the bars, we help them in doing so. So here I basically have an 8-member team that we are within the Dome Reservation. So we have to coordinate amongst ourselves, work as a team, and to see that every customer that comes here, whatever, if the customer has a specific request or do's and don'ts, basically we pass it on to the restaurant team or to the front office team that needs to be taken care of at that time. So we deal with customer feedback, customer satisfaction, team building within my own team, verbiage, what's to be used, what are the do's and don'ts that can be done, and special promotions that need to come out. We have to sit down with the restaurant team, restaurant managers, and then formulate a certain go forward. And basically, my department, we report directly to the CEO. And the CEO is also an Indian, being Mr. Deepak Ori. Yeah, and if anybody Googles Mr. Deepak Ori, he's a pioneer in the hospitality industry. He's actually a pioneer, and the things that he's done and the people that he's met, there's no boundaries to that. So I directly I answer to him directly, basically. So if we go for meetings, he's the one who questions, what am I going to do? Why haven't I done that? Or where's my Excel? Or where's my PowerPoint presentation? It's all presented directly to him. There is no third man in between. So it's directly. So I'm fortunate. Again, like I say, I'm fortunate enough that I can meet a person like this and interact with a person like this, and I get to pick his brain at times as well. I mean, and he's a really learned person. So I'm actually very, very fortunate that I get to work with him directly. Again.
Wow.
So that's the entire job description, the role that we actually have.
And I think Lebua has 2 Michelin star restaurants, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. So that's why when we termed, if you go Google Lebua, you'll see the world's first vertical destination come up, and there are a lot of questions that come up regarding what is the world's first destination. Why do we call it the world's first vertical destination? Now we have 4 restaurants that are there. And each restaurant is
asking that question. I was about to ask that question.
So there are 4 restaurants, and each restaurant is like. So each restaurant is basically on a different level. Each restaurant is placed at a different level. Now I start off with the two star. We have two 2-star Michelin restaurants within the same hotel. And now if anybody Googles, if anybody Googles what a Michelin is, obviously it's a certain accolade that you get, and only the world's best restaurants do get that accolade, because again, your service has to be top notch, the ambience has to be top notch, the outlet has to be top notch, establishment has to be top notch, everything has to be at top level. That's that. So we have 2. One is on the 61st floor, which is again classic, which serves classic French menu as well, and it has a different scenic view of Bangkok. So you get a different scene of Bangkok, and it's fine dining. It's an in thing. So, and on the same level, we have another bar, which is called the pink bar, which is the entire ambience is pink in color. So if you're a customer coming to our hotel, and you're coming for maybe basically an anniversary or a honeymoon, and you want to say that, okay, I want to have a drink after I finish. I want to have a sit and drink, and I want to sit outside. I don't want to sit inside anymore. So we said we have an option for you. Once you finish your dinner, which is again a 7-course menu, you get to move to a bar which is on the same level. You can sit outdoors, and you have the river view of Bangkok again. So, and you sit outside, and it's a champagne bar where we only serve exclusive champagnes at that bar. Now, if you go to the other Michelin restaurant, which is a 2-star Michelin restaurant, which is on the 65th floor, here the cuisine is European cuisine with Japanese techniques. Then here the entire restaurant is indoors, but you have the river view of Bangkok, and it's on the 65th floor. So you got a different choice, different cuisine, different view of Bangkok. So if for example, if the other Michelin restaurant was on east facing, this will be west facing. So you're getting a different view altogether.
All right.
The other two restaurants, if you say Lebua first, you'll see the Sirocco restaurant come up. And the Sirocco's is the world's first rooftop restaurant, rooftop outdoors.
Yeah.
And here it's a 180-degree view that you get of Bangkok outside. And why is it famous? Because if you see the Hangover 2 movie that was shot, the Hangover 2, which is a very famous movie, it was shot at that restaurant, Sirocco. So that's why when somebody calls in, I want to sit down where the Hangover movie was shot. I want that restaurant. So we all know that it's Sirocco that he's talking about. And we give them a seat there, and he wants to say, I want that particular seat, I want that particular. So we have that also covered for a person. Then we have the fourth and last restaurant, which is again on the 52nd floor, which is the lowest restaurant on the lowest floor that we have. But here we make it unique. Why? Because there's a sky bridge where you can stand and see the entire view of Bangkok, again 180 degrees. If you sit at the Breeze restaurant, you have a balcony seat which just overlooks the river. So basically you're sitting and seeing the river right down in front of you. So there's a different view again. So every thought process that goes into every restaurant and bar that goes in here is painful, and really a lot of thought has gone into each process, making of each restaurant and each bar. Like I said, there are 6 bars. The Sky Bar, which is famous again on the 64th floor. Then we have 2 bars on the 65th floor, which is the we have one world's only Shiva's bar where we only serve Shiva's whiskey, and the Lebua brand, which is specifically made for Lebua. You get it there. And each bottle, if you want to buy, I want to go into prices, it's expensive because it's only made for Lebua. So there are total 6 bars and 4 restaurants, and each one is a different positions in the hotel. So you get the entire vertical view of Bangkok. So that's what we call it, the world's first vertical destination. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Sorry. There was a network issue at my end, Richard. I'm so sorry.
Not a problem.
Some glitch there, Richard. Okay. So yeah. So I would have always wanted to know about Lebua, and you told us all about it, and I was especially intrigued to know about the Michelin star restaurants. And when I hear about them, you feel like going there. I'm sure the guests must be having a wonderful time when they're there. So what aspect of hotel life are you enjoying the most, Richard?
See, basically, if I say that there's a particular aspect, I cannot justify because it's something new to me, and I'm learning every day something new in the hotel and getting myself up to speed. Because if you say it's 2.5 years, I should know everything. No, I'm sorry. The hotel industry is huge, but we get to work, like I said, we get to work with a lot of different nationalities within the same space, within my department itself. So learning their culture, learning their background, learning the way they speak. That's what I say, that it's built me as a person as well. Learning about them, learning from where they come, how to get them to work in the same team, to the same goal. That's been a little tricky, but then not. I can't say it's not achievable. It's achievable. But yeah, that's what I love the most. I think that's what intrigues me the most.
Great.
And getting to work with Mr. Deepak Gori is. Sorry, my phone.
Right.
Sorry, yeah.
No problem. So Richard, I would want you to talk a little bit about, for example, both in aviation and hotels, right? And your bio says that you're a very you're a team player and you believe working in teams, right? Could you again elaborate on that a little bit? We've spoken about it, but maybe a different perspective from you about, again, we have a lot of young viewers listening to us, who want to join this industry. Can you elaborate on this teamwork, that and why it is so important and not just a cliched line, team player or a teamwork. It actually means a lot when you are working in this industry. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
True, Mr. Sharma, because see, if you know the word, when you're working in a team, working in a team in every aspect of life actually is important, not only in the hotel or not only in the airline. It's because we come up with the term, we use this term a lot in the hospitality industry, because we actually have a team. We have see, when you have a lot of people, a lot of moving parts come together, you got to work as a team. So, and every team has to have a team leader. So if you take an example of building a house, right? You need your base to be strong. Then you need your boulders. Your boulders are basically your other team members, and your team leader is one A member, which you choose is the strongest, who can make decisions, tell you to do stuff, direct you. Okay, it's really important. And for any team, having a strong leader is really important at that aspect. So, and if you say, what should a team leader possess, or what should he have? I would say, see, any team leader can direct, right? Anybody can actually direct. But for me personally, I had lovely mentors who mentored me. I looked up to when they were cabin supervisors. Not only did they work in business class, they came at the back, got involved in work, basically got their hands dirty. So I took that aspect from them, added a little spice of my own, and became a leader what I wanted to be and what I wanted to achieve as well. So I used to work in business class, make sure that and Jet came up with the rule that you need to send a crew at the back to assist your economy crew to work, because there's a lot of work to do. So I never allowed my other team member or my other colleague in front to go at the back. I myself went in economy and worked. So that shocked a lot of people, because not many CSs did go to the back, especially other bases. But for my base, where I was brought up or I was molded in, this was taken very seriously, and we did. As a team leader, it's important that you need to help out, because there's a saying, nah? I mean, I'll probably say it in Hindi, because in any way, in any industry, in any work of life, a person will say, and I'll say it in Hindi because it's normally said in Hindi most of the time, right? करता तो करता तो कुछ नहीं है, खाली बोलता है. So that's the saying, right? So he only talks, he doesn't work, he doesn't show that he can do it. So I have that concept. I always think that if I'm telling someone to do something, only if I can do that, I should tell someone else that it's doable, right? I can't tell someone do it when he cannot do it. So I need to put myself in the other person's shoes. That's what I normally do. I mean, also I think, I'm right. I don't know. Everyone has their
right.
Yeah, leading by example, basically. That's what's right. That's what.
Absolutely. Yeah, even at CTA, Richard, we emphasize a lot. In fact, one of the, like when we are finishing the training, one very important and a very strong aspect of our entire training is is a leadership training, which happens right in the end before the people go for internships. Like you went for your IT to Taj Bengal. Even we send people for internships to
Oh, that's
Taj
nice.
Bengal also. Yes, so that is a part of our program and of the curriculum. And before they go, they have a very, very strong dose of this attitudinal training where leadership skills are imparted. And yeah, you touched on that point, so I mentioned that as well. Uh, Richard, in the
And
17 years, yes, sorry, go ahead, Richard, sorry.
sorry, Mr. Sharma. I mean, since you brought up CTA, I would like to. I mean, I would like to say that you did. There are two colleagues of mine that you've actually employed at CTA, which I know
Yes,
of, and they
yes,
are exceptional people. Honestly, they are exceptional people. So when I knew that they are joined CTA and a part of the CTA staff, I mean, it's lucky. You're lucky to actually have them, because they would. And I'm all for CTA. I'm all for aviation schools that basically, because when I was growing up, in 2004, there were not many aviation schools.
right,
Only one that was there was Frankfurt, right, if I may say. So that monopoly was there, right? You never actually got the real input and the real insight of what an actual airline would be. Now there are many, so I'm actually all for aviation schools, because they actually prepare a student in advance what you're gonna get on board the aircraft, what is there to see.
right,
So I'm really happy
right.
that you'll do have, and you'll employ two of our best that maybe didn't want to join an airline and are with you at this moment in time. Arshi being
Right.
one. I mean, she worked with me, directly with me,
Yes. Yes.
maybe
Yes.
junior
Yes.
to me, but still she was one of the best, I should say. Really, really hardworking girl, very
Yeah,
polite, very
absolutely.
humble.
Absolutely.
And other being Zenat. We had the same designation. We joined more or less the same time together.
Right.
And knowing her as a person, she has a lot of insight, and a lot of she also has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to
Yes.
impart.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, Richard. We are very lucky to have both of them as part of the training team, because we don't only need trainers, we need mentors, for these youngsters. And I think they do a terrific role there. So CT is very lucky to have people like Zainab and Arshi as part of the training team.
True, and positive mentors, and really positive mentors. And I've listened to
Yeah,
a few talk shows of yours as well, and come across the way you speak and how gentle you are. I'm sure that you being a mentor to them also will take them a step higher and achieve something great as well, which I'm sure.
sure, sure. I've been doing that for the last 11 years, and I think I'll continue doing that. Richard, thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you, Richard. Now, Richard, again, for the benefit of our young viewers, yeah, uh, you in your 17 years, you must have dealt with a lot of newcomers, right? And I'm sure that is there a message for them, on, let's say, certain, of course, certain qualities apart from communication and grooming, of course, those are there for always there. But anything in particular that you felt after having met a lot of youngsters, all right, this one quality, I find a lot of people probably not very developed, improvement area. Is there anything that you have noticed, found out in the last 15 years, 17 years of meeting youngsters, anything that has come to you?
See, grooming is okay when people say you need to speak well, you need to groom yourself well. That you've already touched that point on as well. I understand. What actually, see, we as mentors, or your teacher at school, your parents, you as an instructor, we are all sources of guidance, right? We can just guide a person, but we can't initially insert something which comes from you within. A positive attitude can never be inserted. A positive attitude can always has to come from within yourself. How you find that positive attitude, you have to look at your inner self and bring. And a positive attitude, and this is very, very important, right? uh, in this phase, because I've seen a lot of youngsters when they come in, they take, maybe because they find out an airline is it's a luxurious life. Okay, I get to fly to cities, international cities, international destination for that matter, get to stay in layovers, visit those cities. It's all easy. It's all easy said and done. but there's a lot of hard work that actually goes into it. So you need to bring a strong will with you, that you need to sustain yourself, because there'll be a lot of negative people on flight within your team. There's a lot of negative people within your team. It's how you will overcome those negative people. There'll be bad days, there'll be good days for you as well. And you must always be ready to fail, right? You must be ready to fail. You must be ready to accept criticism, to accept corrections. You can't come with the fact like you're gonna have everything's gonna be good. So bringing a positive attitude along with you and a sheer will to survive and hard work along with you, there's nothing like it. I'm sure if you have all these things along with you, your life, I mean, you can't say your life will be easy, but then you covered most of your life. So these are the things that you should bring
Right.
along with yourself as well. And if
Correct.
you if
Correct.
you if people if there are a few people as well who don't socialize, who are a little scared in talking to strangers or other people, are hesitant. If you are like that, try speaking to people, socialize with people, speak more often. If you are weak in English, speak to people in English. Try making, I mean, you won't be 100% good in English. I will never say that, because if your mother tongue isn't English, you will not happen. So my mother tongue is not Hindi, so my Hindi is crude, or should I say, not very polite, very this. So I worked on it, correct? I worked on Hindi because I spoke to people in Hindi. I wanted to speak because that was my weak point. I needed to speak in. So if you're weak in certain things, try and speak to people and take encouragement from that. That's it. That's I mean, that's my basic
Right.
thinking point that I felt.
Sure. Sure, Richard. Yeah. Uh, and in Richard, 17 years again, I want to ask you something. What is it, because, you keep those, badges and emblems, with
Name
you,
badge.
so I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see that passion, in you, Richard. The love for your company, the love for your organization, and I think the love for your work that you do, Richard. So what drives you? What has been driving you for 17 years? Uh, what does it mean to be a passionate service provider? How do you look at being a passionate service provider?
You've already touched on the point, Mr. Sharma, that you must love what you do, actually speaking. So
Mhm.
my initial view to anybody viewing this or anybody wanting to listen to it, doing this, if you want to join the airline or if you want to join the hospitality industry, you must love basically what you do. You must actually love what you're going to do. It come with a positive attitude. And what drives me, me as a person, I'm very ambitious. I'm a very ambitious person. Even when I joined as a cabin crew, the first question that my check crew asked me, and he's a mentor of mine too today. He didn't ask me any technical questions. The question that he asked me, where do you see yourself in 3 years from now?
Okay.
So my answer to him was that I want to fill your shoes. I want to be in the position that you are in at the moment. So that was I mean, wasn't taken nicely with another crew, because she was awestruck with what I said. I mean, I told him, I'm just being
Mhm.
honest. I'm not being rude. I'm not being overconfident. It's just that I want to do this. I'm very ambitious. I don't want to be another head in the crowd or somewhere
Right.
lost in the middle. It's
Correct.
and you don't do that by but a lot of people will think otherwise. Oh, there's another way. Oh, I can butter my managers. I can do that. That's the only way I can rise. Butter can only take you to a certain level, but when you're left
Mhm.
alone with your team and you need to do something about it, that's where you actually come out. So for me, I'm actually very ambitious, and I really want to take myself somewhere. And I always look, if I'm here an assistant manager right now, I would want to grow slowly. Success comes slowly, it doesn't come overnight. So I don't mind waiting. But there are times, and I know if we work hard, someone will see. Someone. So it's okay. You
Yes.
just wait your turn.
Yes. Yes. I'm sure.
So that's
I'm
why I say
sure.
work. You must work from your heart. You must, whatever you do, you must love what you're doing. If you want to join the airline, you must love. the airline to a certain limit. You must love customer service, which is really important. Customer service is the main thing. There's nothing else other than that, other than speaking to a person gently, being humble. If you're a humble person, be humble, stay humble, and
Mm.
someone will see. Don't, that's what I keep saying. Someone will see
Yes.
your hard
Yeah.
work and will recognize
Yeah.
it. You will be
So
recognized.
yes.
That's for me. And be enthusiastic. You know, when I see this crew, which are
And
people which are really bubbly all the time, positive, and you find people, "Ugh, why is he so chirpy all the time? Why is he so bubbly?" Those are the people who grow. Those are the people who go somewhere in life. If you're always negative, I have
yes.
had colleagues senior to me when I came in and saying that, ha, I've been here 3 years, been 4 years, I've never been promoted. Every day the same thing over and over again. The same people, listening to the same people, same complaint on the flight, do this, do that. Then you have a
Mm.
choice. You have a choice. If you don't
Yes.
like what you're doing, move on to something else. Somebody else will take your place.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I
Yes.
feel. You got to be positive. Be positive and love what you do. The rest will follow. That's all I can say, Mr. Sharma.
Right.
I'm sorry, but
Right.
that's from this is my
No, no,
point of view.
no.
I know
Absolutely.
everybody has a different point of view, different thinking, but
No, I mean, the topic of our conversation was that, Richard, service from the heart, and I think, that was such a nice way of summing up, what we wanted through this conversation, service from the heart, and if you're not, Richard, I'll tell you an anecdote. I mean, my first day in hotels, as an employee, and this is what my supervisor told me, that if you can't do it from here, you have to join some other industry, that is, otherwise you have to be very, very honest in your service with your guests. And I think that is still there in my mind, and I keep sharing it with my trainees as well, uh, because technicals, of course, you will learn, but the attitude has to be there all the time. So
exactly. I'm sure you've come
uh,
across employees as well or supervisors as well who've told you, यार ऐसे करने के लिए where will you go? What will you do? Where will you rise? क्या करेगा? What will you do? And I'm sure you must have told yourself, don't worry, buddy. You're here today. You'll remain the same place today. Tomorrow, I'm coming back as your boss. So it's the thing. You have a choice. You
yes,
have a choice, and all to all the young viewers as well. You have a choice.
correct,
Everyone has a choice. If you're coming to do
correct,
something, come wholeheartedly. Don't come half-heartedly. Like, I'll see.
correct,
Okay, maybe I'll try. There's nothing.
correct.
Don't try, because if you're coming to try, there's somebody else behind you who wants this job wholeheartedly. Give them the chance.
Yes, right, right. Richard,
That's
what a great note on where we ending this, Richard. Thank you so much. I think uh, you answered all that I wanted you to come up with because I keep the interest of all my viewers also in mind when I am asking these questions, and I think it was absolutely wonderful to hear from you, sharing your wisdom and sharing your nuggets of wisdom and how to make it how this industry and how to sustain yourself and enjoy what you're doing, no matter if it's aviation or hotels. Okay, I mean, you have to put your heart out, and you have to find ways of work, isn't it, Richard? You have to find ways of having fun at work. You have to find ways of making
exactly.
the day of your guest, make the day. And I think uh, there's no other industry which can give you so much joy there.
No, true. That's the point that you've actually brought out as well. I used to tell the crew, okay, we're going on board now. Have fun in what you do. Have fun.
Yes,
Even if the
yes,
passenger is telling you
yes,
something, they're having a bad day, bring out ways that you can surprise them, make them smile. If you make somebody else smile on
yes,
that particular day, you make someone's day, you go back home happy, you go back home smiling. And
yes,
like I said, somebody in
absolutely.
and around will see what you've done. All right, so don't worry about it. Just be happy, and be happy. You'll have supervisors as well. You will have supervisors who will criticize you. who will be jealous of what you are achieve, what you are always smiling. How can you always smile? Tell them it's okay. Don't worry about it. So that's a
Yeah.
basic thing, and I'm really happy that I can share my knowledge or impart my knowledge, whatever I've learned for the past 17 years. Tell the young viewers or people who wanting to become cabin crew. Honestly speaking, if you want it, I'm sure there's nothing in life that can stop you from doing it. You will, if you even if you don't get through to the first time, second time, third time, try till you succeed. There's nothing that you cannot do in life.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure
Richard, thank you so
people who are
much.
working with, who are training under y'all is being in your shoes,
Yes.
you being the head of the department, you having two other amazing instructors. I'm sure CTA is going in the right direction, and I'm sure that they'll help out.
Thank
You
you
can
so much,
benefit.
Richard.
Or
Thank you.
there's nothing that can go wrong. You can just benefit with something. It's beneficial.
Abs- absolutely. And we'll keep developing the capabilities of youngsters who show confidence in us, choose to train with us. Okay, we will continue doing all the good work that we've been doing. Richard, I just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for for sharing all that you shared today, and I'm sure the viewers have benefited immensely, and for taking time out. And we wish you all the best, Richard. And we hope we
Thank you
can
so
get in
much.
sometime with many other things to talk about. Until that time, please take care of yourself, Richard, and keep doing well.
I'm always happy to help, and when I'm down in Calcutta, if I do come down next year, I will visit. I hope to visit you.
Sure,
I hope you'll
absolute,
accept me.
absolute pleasure to have you.
Right.
It would be an absolute pleasure to have you. You meet our trainees and you pep them up. I would be looking forward that for day. Richard, thank you so much, and you please take
Pleasure's
care of
mine.
yourself. Keep doing well. Bye-bye. Yeah, take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that was episode 24 with Mr. Richard Alford, and we will see you again with our 25th episode of Quick Bites. Stay tuned, and thank you so much. Please take care of yourself. Bye for now.